Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sam Sanders, and I'm going to be trying to tell you what's going on in that big, beautiful gray Hawker Sea Fury that you just seen take off. In the cockpit is none other than Mr. Brian Sanders, and right after the gear up comes the big roll to the right. Now, you'll notice the smoke is coming off of the wingtips, a little bit different than where the smoke usually comes from, as on a propeller-driven airplane, it comes out the exhaust stack. Well, some years ago, Brian Sanders' late father, Frank Sanders, devised a smoke system that he called the smoke generator. And those are the two units that you see strapped onto the wingtips of that big, big Sea Fury. Now, the Sea Fury is an English airplane, had quite a heritage to it. Its grandfather was the Hurricane. Remember that during the Battle of Britain? And later on, the Typhoon and the Tempest. Well, the Royal Navy said, we need a fighter. We need a fighter, and we want Hawker to build it. And this was the end result of all that experimentation. They took the best of the Typhoon and the Tempest and put it all together. Look at that. Beautiful four-point rotation. This was the first propeller-driven fighter that the Royal Navy ever used. And it was powered by the English engine, which was a Bristol Centaurus 18-cylinder sleeve valve radial engine. Produced about 2,400 horsepower. Well, the engines were in short demand because at that time they were already on the threshold of the jet airplane. So the engines were very rare. So instead of using the English engine, the Wright 3350 American engine seemed like a perfect match because of the scarcity of the Bristol Centaurus. So this airplane is powered by the Wright 3350, which is a cubic inch displacement and puts out approximately 2,500 to 2,550 horsepower. Now Brian is going to utilize all that speed up over the top. He's ignited those generators on the wingtip. And incidentally, Brian took right over from his dad after the smoke generators became a functional thing, and he builds those every day of the week up at our place in Northern California, a place called I own. And you probably saw the other Sea Fury in some of the lineup today, and today some of the days earlier flybys. And that was, of course, the famous race number 8 Dreadnought. Well, this is the sister ship of the airplane, and it is Argonaut. So the two Sanders Sea Furies, you probably, if you've ever been to Reno at the air races, you've seen us out there on the course. Well, Brian has got this routine that his dad established, and he's polished it a little. Look at that big, beautiful smoke ring out there. Well, that was from the wingtip vortice. As the wing goes through the air and the smoke gets caught up in the afterflow, and that is what you're seeing. Now, a little bit later on, Brian is going to slow it down, and even though we've got a surface wind of about 15 knots, we're going to see some very, very unusual smoke patterns. Now, Brian's utilizing all 2,500 horsepower there, up over the top, topping off pretty close to 5,000 feet up there, doing a roll at dead center of the loop. Right on around, nose coming down now, a little bit back on the power, and he is pulling about 5 to 6 G's at the bottom. Pretty hard to keep your chin off of your chest there. Well, you know, the guys up at Reno on the race course, they're pulling pretty much at a constant 4 to 5 G's as they go into those pylon turns. And of course, it's hard on the body. You got to be conditioned, stay in there. That's why that's why Brian drinks milk every night. Yeah. We're building up a brand new Sea Fury racer with a 4360 in it. That's a Pratt & Whitney that you heard Kevin talk about earlier today. It produces pretty close to 4,000 horsepower on a given day. And this new Sea Fury should be red hot and ready to go. Hey, we're knocking right on the door. Now, watch this. If Brian's got enough speed, as soon as he gets it vertical, he will begin A vertical roll on, around. Come on, Brian. One more half. That a boy. Right up the top, taking it right on up to about 5,500 feet. All right, let it pay off. He's got an incredible about 80 miles an hour coming off the top of that loop up there. Now, coming on back down, doing a vertical roll back down. Now, aren't those smoke generators putting out a beautiful stream of smoke?
Where? Gray and the orange. Oh, the gray and
Now
the
he's going to
yellow.
go out and slow it down a little bit. And he's going to take
The gray
that,
and the yellow one. This one's
change
yellow.
off that 400 mile an hour pass that we just had. And he's going to slow it down a little bit, put some flaps down. And we're going to show you just what wingtip vorticity and wake turbulence is all about. And you watch that smoke in back of the airplane. As I say, we do have surface wind down here, so it won't be a nice calm day. But you'll get the idea of what I mean. If you've ever stood on a mountain stream and watched the water come down over the rocks, well, actually, the smoke does the same thing from the wake turbulence. And the slower the airplane and the heavier the airplane, the more disturbance that you get following the airplane's path of flight. Now you see he's down to about 120 miles an hour indicated, holding it there with a little power. Now you can see the smoke comes out nice and straight, but once it gets back there to where that turbulence is, it starts doing all kinds of crazy things. Now there you see the smoke is doing its thing right there. That's what wake turbulence is. After Brian's father Frank devised these, NASA did a test and asked Frank if he could build 8 smoke generators to put on a 747 for wake turbulence testing, and he did that. And I'll tell you what, I've seen the photos of that, and you talk about wake turbulence in back of a 747 is really something to see. Well, Brian, to go back up, pick a little bit more airspeed, coming back in, probably do a photo pass for us here. For those of you who have seen this airplane in action up at Reno, it's always usually a runner in the silver race, and sometimes, there he is for that photo pass.
Gentlemen, give him a wave. Air show